All right, Nuggets fans, welcome to Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends here at Mile High Sports. I am your host, Ryan Blackburn at NBA Blackburn on Twitter. Tough loss last night. Tough, unfortunate loss last night for the Denver Nuggets. I think a massive missed opportunity personally. And after some time to sleep on it, I still think that way. I still think that Denver may have made a big mistake here. It's never great because, look, this has been an awesome series. We're seeing it in the comments here as well from Macy Corwin. What a series. What a series. If only I wasn't so invested in one side. Firmly agree. Denver fans and a whole bunch of NBA fans can absolutely be very excited about the way that this series has gone and how entertaining it has been. But if you're a Nuggets fan, you also would have loved to see Denver finish things off in 6. And I'm going to get into why. I just think that there are some, you just never want to open up that door. You never want to open up the possibility. And finishing it off in 6 games, I think, would have been a good sign for Denver. And now I am just not so sure. So we'll get into the details. We'll talk about what happened in the game. We'll talk about what's going next. I've got some things on Jokic that I want to discuss, but should be an interesting podcast. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you can. Would really, really appreciate it. So let's get into it. Denver started this game up. They were 28-25 in the first quarter. It felt like they had some good momentum. Jamal Murray started off very strong, 12 points in his first 12 minutes on the court. And then things immediately kind of flipped for the Clippers. David Adelman decided that he wanted to play DeAndre Jordan with the second unit. And despite the fact that Nicholas Batum was out there, Ben Simmons didn't even play. The Clippers just went with an 8-man rotation. It was Nicholas Batum, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden was still playing, and then a couple of other wings. I think this one, it was Derek Jones Jr. and Bogdan Bogdanovic. And they just went small. They just went with a smaller group that didn't play that much in the regular season, but they went with a group that the Nuggets couldn't counter because they were too slow, and they were DJ just made critical mistakes. He committed a couple of fouls. He committed a turnover immediately, missed a rebound or two, and Denver just let go of the rope at the beginning of the second quarter. And then Jokic comes back in and a little bit passive. He had been passive for pretty much the entire game up until that point, until he got hit with a turnover that he thought was unfair and went into extreme aggressive mode for the rest of the quarter and finished it with 15 of his 25 points in just a 6-minute span or something like that. It was very impressive. I thought that he was going to be doing that for the rest of the game, and ultimately that was not the case. And so a lot of stuff to figure out from that. But Jokic was kind of the only guy going in the second quarter, and Denver lost the lead. They was down 58-57, but they were still keeping it close. James Harden was going off, had 21 points in the first half. And then the third quarter hits, and Jokic is back to being passive. The Nuggets are not generating good shots for themselves. There's a lot of criticisms, I think, that you can have about the way that Denver was approaching that. I think that Denver missed a great opportunity at in that third quarter of this game, because the defense was just not locked in to the degree that it needed to be. Michael Porter Jr. hit his first shot of the game, I believe, in the third quarter. Was that his only shot of the game that he hit? No, he had a layup, I think, at some point. But yeah, just a not a great third quarter for Denver. They were down 32-22 in the third overall, but it was way worse than that initially. Kind of saved by the fact that Christian Braun just hit a a random pull-up three and then a nice kick-out three from Jokic, I believe. And then Nikola Jokic also hit a three. It was one of his only two makes of the second half. Jokic went 9 of 13 in the first half and 2 of 9 in the second half from the field. And then Denver, once again, fourth quarter, this time they don't go to DeAndre Jordan. They instead bring Aaron Gordon back in as the small ball center. Peyton Watson plays a bunch of time with the second unit at this point. I think Peyton overall played pretty well, but there were just a couple of moments of indecision when he had the ball in his hands and kind of looked around, didn't really have a good option, put up a half-hearted 12-footer, didn't go in. But overall, his defense was pretty solid, and the Denver defense as a whole was pretty good in the second half, but damage was kind of done initially. Clippers scored just 21 points, but the Nuggets, because they only scored 22 in the third and only 26 in the fourth, they couldn't quite catch up. Every time Denver had it going offensively, they gave up a defensive run. And every time Denver finally got their stuff together on the defensive end, they couldn't capitalize on the offensive end. There were turnovers being committed. Jokic had 4, Murray had 3, rest of the team had 5 total. Down the stretch, Denver made it close. And despite the fact that he had had a great game up until that point, Russell Westbrook just botches a layup in a very unfortunate way. With Denver down, I believe 6, it would have cut it to 4 with about 2.5 minutes to go. That's a critical miss. Not the only guy to miss a layup. Jokic missed a layup later in the game. So want to make sure that that is firmly iterated to our Russell Westbrook fans out there. But like Denver just clearly missed an opportunity. They had Russ stepped up in a big way, 14 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists in the game was a really nice game. Led the team in rebounds and was a threat to score for the entire game. Michael Porter was not. 5 points, minus 24 in 24 minutes. That's a pretty difficult stat line to put out there. Clearly not as impactful overall as he needed to be. But Denver, to me, they are just like playing with fire. And we'll get into that in just a bit. But actually, we'll talk about it now because Cedric is super chatted. Cedric with the 199. What happens if we lose game 7 like last year? It'll be sad. There will be changes. There will be massive shifts in the organization, just as there already have been. Like, I don't know. It's if they lose, it'll be pretty depressing. It's going to depend kind of on the way that they lose if that were to happen. But yeah, if they lose game 7, then second time in a row that they were up 3-2 in a series and then lost, that's not going to go over well. It's not going to look favorably on Jokic and Murray specifically. Like those guys are the ones who should be leading in this scenario. So hopefully they, I don't know. Hopefully they figure it out. But thank you for the super chat. Jokic in this game, to me, it was pretty evident of, Denver knew that they had a game 7. They knew that they had a second opportunity to get this done. I'm really surprised that Jokic was making the decisions that he was making. There were so many times that I thought that Jokic should just shoot the 3. He was 2 of 4 from 3 in this game, but only took 4 of them, took 18 twos, was 50% from 2, and just was, he talked about this postgame, he was second-guessing himself in part because of the way that Ivica Zubac was playing defense. And that's not fantastic. That's not something that I think Denver should be doing. I don't know. Like, Jokic in this situation had an opportunity in my mind to go for 40 and to let the shots fly and see where it happens, because that's what it's supposed to be in a game 6, right? You're playing with house money. If you don't let it fly in those situations, then to me it is a wasted opportunity. It is a wasted shot, where you've got your best outside shooter in Jokic right now, who is should be dialed in this situation, and just trying to go get foul calls. He was doing everything that he could to get to the free throw line, when I just think that he should have been letting it fly from three. This was a great opportunity for him to really showcase that outside shot, because there were so many plays where they're running the pick and pop. Murray dragged two with him. Russell Westbrook dragged two with him. The Nuggets were rotating the ball around, and the ball would find Jokic at the top, and he had an opportunity to shoot, and then would pump fake and drive. And he does it so well most of the time that, like, it's not a big deal. Like, if he's making that decision, it's probably for a good reason. But the decision making, it just ultimately did not end up the way that it should have been. Like, usually he is making such great decisions to the point where the result is panning out. This time the result did not pan out. And I'm kind of stuck in this place wondering whether the decision making was the problem or just him not being able to execute. But, like, I don't know. He's had so many games before against Zubac specifically where they're guarding him one on one and they don't double, and they put him into a situation where, okay, everybody else is kind of struggling here. It's your time to shine. And he has shined. He's put up 40. Second game of the season, he put up 40 on like 7 threes against Zubac. So I'm just kind of surprised that he didn't really amp it up from that spot. And 42 Ultra says it here. Historically, we lose games where Jokic goes for 40 to 50. I get it. I totally agree. And maybe Jokic knows that. Maybe Jokic was very much willing to kind of go down as the guy who was trying to assist. But, like, it really is often dictated on the coverage. It's often dictated on what you're supposed to be doing just within the flow of the game. And I just think that he missed a massive opportunity here to open up the floor, to have Zubac continue to overreact and then get him on his hip, or on his leave him in the dust or so, because he's jumping at these pump fakes, rather than, like, I don't think Zoo really messed with a pump fake at all. He was in defensive position the entire time. So it's an unfortunate reality for Denver, but something that Jokic is going to have to figure out. I'm very curious to see, is he going to be going with 8, 9, 10 threes in game 7? It's going to be very interesting to see. Okay. Jokic obviously wasn't the only guy to kind of play shakily. Like, I'm not going to sit here and blame everything on him, but he is the leader. He is the guy that you take your cues from if you're the Nuggets. And if he was letting it fly, if he was putting up those shots, I think Denver feels a little bit better in a lot of these situations. Murray also really slowed down after the first quarter. He had just 9 points the rest of the game. Like, that's just not good enough. And I understand, like, each of those guys also have 8 assists. Each of those guys are also doing some other things. Like, they're being attacked on the defensive end constantly. But Denver needed to be better offensively, or they needed to be better defensively. And it's hard for me to really foresee Denver being great defensively right now, in part because Peyton Watson plays 11 minutes and they're still a -5 in that time. But when you're playing him next to DeAndre Jordan, who can't really move against small ball 5 lineups, not really putting those guys into position to succeed. So I don't know. We're gonna find out. We're gonna see where this goes. I do think that Denver needs. Do they need a lineup change? Do they need to, like, would they bench Michael Porter? Probably not. Would they bench Christian Brown? Probably not. Russell Westbrook has played well enough in this series that he should be playing like 30, 35 minutes, but also with some of the mistakes that he made towards the end, probably shouldn't close the game. So This is a really tough spot. Like the DeAndre Jordan stuff, um, the fact that they haven't gone to Zeke Naji at all, Julian Strother's just not out there. Dario Saric is a like he's a ghost on the bench. Vlatko Čančar, when they tried him, it was really bad. Like I'm not surprised that Denver doesn't feel like they have a lot of options, and they're just trying to get Jokic a little bit of a break. They're trying to get Aaron to not have to play backup center. But yeah, Aaron has to play backup center. Sorry, that's just kind of how it is. Denver needs to be in a situation where they are playing Peyton Watson a little bit more and playing a little bit more small ball five. Like, this is pretty simple to me that the Clippers are not a team that you try to dictate terms to. You try to play and match up with their size and just be better than they are. But I don't know. Not a lot of good indications here. Okay. Let's take a break. When we come back, we are going to talk about game 7 and talk about what this looks like and what Denver can do to put themselves back into position to get this thing done. We'll be right back here on Pickaxe and Roll. All right, we are back. Pickaxe and Roll. Ryan Blackburn here. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Game 7s are always tough. Game 7s are always a coin flip. You very rarely feel good going into a game 7. Got some criticism for saying that, yeah, Denver shouldn't feel good going into a game 7. It's not that like they can't win. Obviously, they can win. They can win. They should probably be favored, if I'm being honest. But the Clippers have already won a game on the road before. Every game other than 2 of them, like game 3 and game 5, have come down to the wire and have been very close. And you just know that those kinds of games can go any way. They can go any way that you want them to. It's going to come down to shot making. It's going to come down to variance. It's going to come down to, like, hey, who's reffing? Is it going to be Mark Davis and Tony Brothers in this game? Or is it going to be like, I thought the ref crew that was in this particular game last night was pretty good overall. I didn't think that Denver really deserved that many more free throws. And yet Denver only shot 9 of them, and the Clippers shot 15. Part of it is because Harden and Powell and those guys are just they are foul baiting in such an insane way at the beginning of the game and then just talking a whole bunch trying to get these calls. But they're also at home. So should Denver be able to get a little bit of a better whistle at home? They should be. Will they be disciplined enough and strong enough and active enough in order to get it? I don't know. We're going to have to figure it out. But Denver's got to break out some moves. They've got to put themselves into a situation where they are forcing the Clippers onto their back heel, forcing them to make the mistake, forcing them to be the team that is reacting rather than the other way around. It's annoying because I thought that Denver had an opportunity to do that in game 6. Maybe it wasn't that quite great of an opportunity. Maybe that was a little bit different. But I do think that Denver at this point, we've seen this before. We've seen this before with them where they go to a game 7 after being up game 5. They lose. The game 6 loss that they had to Minnesota was so bad that I think everybody felt pretty good in that building if they were rooting for Minnesota. And then Minnesota comes in, they're down 20, but it didn't matter because they had an opportunity to come back. Denver gave them that opportunity to come back through mistakes. Can the Nuggets play a full 48 minutes? Can they do what they didn't do in that game 7 last year? Can they continue to score? I remember last year very vividly that Denver could not score unless it was Jokic or Murray. Those guys combined for like 75 points, and the rest of the team combined for like 13 or something. Maybe 75 is a little bit much. It's more like 69, 35 and 30. Yeah, it was about 69 points, and the rest of the team combined for like 20, 19, somewhere in that range. Denver's going to need a little bit more production than that. I think that Jokic and Murray are going to be a little bit more bottled up than that. Clearly, those guys have had opportunities where they could go off, but the Clippers they're such a great defense and a smart defense overall. They know how to bother the Nuggets. And as long as they're not like letting Murray dribble free for wide open shots, then they are going to be in that game. I got to imagine that the Nuggets are trying to find ways to attack Harden a little bit more. He played 47 minutes in game 6. Was out there a lot, was playing a lot. Denver did try to attack him a little bit, but Harden manages his stamina pretty well. He does a great job of going hard when he needs to, of attacking when he needs to, but also playing passive when the time comes as well. Kawhi Leonard played 39 minutes in that game, which is a lot for him. He was a plus 14. The Nuggets were plus 8 in the minutes that Kawhi sat. So any time that Kawhi Leonard sits, Denver has to be better, but they also just have to be better, or not better, like they have to continue doing what they have been doing, let me just say. But they also have to acknowledge that when Kawhi is out there, when the Clippers are out there with their best group, Denver's just got to bring a better look. The best group actually happens to include Nicholas Batum. It's their 4 starters and then replacing Chris Dunn with Nico Batum, who was plus 11 in his 34 minutes and a massive, massive factor for the Clippers winning that game. He's so smart. He's so good. He's so versatile. 6 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, 3 blocks in that game yesterday. He was guarding Jokic for periods of time. He was guarding Murray for periods of time. He's just amazing as a role player. And Denver needs their role players to step up in that regard. Russell Westbrook is like that. He can absolutely step up and be a massive factor. But Denver probably needs Peyton Watson to step up as well. Like, this is an opportunity for P-Watt, I think, to show that he deserves to be out there in those moments. And yet, I kind of have this vision of David Adelman just going with a 6-man rotation. Like, maybe P-Watt will play 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Maybe DJ will play 90 seconds, depending on the situation. But I kind of have this vision of David Adelman playing Jokic for 45, playing Gordon for 42, playing Murray for 45, playing Porter for however long he can play, and then playing Christian Brown for 44. And that just doesn't leave a lot of extra time for everybody else. Like, Russell Westbrook and Michael Porter will probably split that time at the small forward at the other, like, 5th starter spot. And then Denver will adjust at that point. Yeah, like, I kind of have a vision of Denver really cutting down their rotation even more and just going with their main guys. That is not a major criticism of David Adelman, because, like, you just play your main starters in a game 7 and then you open back up the rotation in a game 1 if Denver were to win. Like, you can't really think beyond to the next round. You have to think about how you get through to the next round rather than anything else. So I'm curious to see what it looks like with those guys. I'm curious to see how much they're able to put out there. But whatever they do, whatever the Nuggets rotation looks like, the defense just has to be better. I know that the Clippers only scored 111. Like, that's not a crazy number. When you adjust for pace, it is so much worse. Denver's defensive rating that they gave up was about 125 in that game against the Clippers. The Clippers didn't even shoot that well. They were 12 of 39 from 3, but they shot very efficiently from 2-point range anytime that they attacked in the interior. Jokic's rim protection was not good in this game, and Also, the Nuggets just didn't get any of the 50-50 balls. They didn't do enough on that end of the floor to really be disruptive. It was pretty clear that also anytime that Denver turned the ball over, they couldn't get back in defensive transition, and the Clippers scored pretty much every single time down the floor there. Overall, Denver had 14 turnovers, but they conceded 23 points off of those turnovers, whereas the Clippers turned the ball over 7 times and conceded 10 points. That's a massive margin in a game like this. So, are the Nuggets going to be able to get their turnovers under control? When they have, they've been a very good basketball team. When they haven't, they lose. Like, it's just pretty simple. So, I'm curious what it looks like for Denver when they're gassed, how they play, how Jokic handles this situation when Zubac has been as good on him as anybody in a playoff environment. And I'm curious to see whether Denver can generate good mismatches and afford the opportunity to get Jokic into the middle of the floor in good, easy coverage. We'll see what happens there, but yeah, in a game 6 where Denver shot 40% from 3, 11 of 27, it's hard for me to expect that they're going to be that much better in a game 7. I don't really expect it at all. So Denver has to, I think, prove it again. They've won 3 of these games. They can do it. Like that, there's no question that they can. The larger question is will. The larger question is how they are going to approach this thing. Christian Brown going to step up in a game 7. Michael Porter going to step up in a game 7. Michael Porter, of course, has a built-in kind of pass where the shoulder has been really hurting him. And I don't blame it. Like that's a massive injury that he has had to manage and shouldn't even be playing. But he is out there. So how are you going to handle it? How are you going to respond? Did have 2 steals and a block in the game 6 in 24 minutes, but didn't really do much else. So can he get free? Can the Nuggets get free? Can they run? Can they do some of the things that they're supposed to do in order to advance to the next round? How much do they like? Actually, I'm not going to say that. That I shouldn't say. Whatever we see from Denver, game 7s should be fun. They should be enjoyable. This is good theater for the NBA. I'm not sure how many there are going to be. Like I think the only series that is still going, if I'm not mistaken, is Warriors Rockets. And so maybe the Rockets are able to force a game 7. They can get it back to their house. I kind of don't expect it, but if they did, that would be a pretty big deal. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how the Nuggets handle this. I'm very curious to see what they're able to bring to the table here. How much energy can you put out? Can you be executing at the highest level that you're supposed to? There's a lot of questions. So we will see what it looks like. We will see what Jokic brings. How much does he want to elevate the group? What is he going to put onto his shoulders? He's put a lot onto his shoulders already. Can he do it one more time? Can he do it again? We will just have to see. But like the Clippers and the Nuggets are pretty clearly evenly matched. I think that we've seen that over the course of these first 6 games, that one direction or the other, yeah, you might get a blowout win here, a blowout win there, but 4 of the 6 games have come down to the wire, and this has been by far the best series in the NBA. There have been some massive star performances. There have been some great role player performances. It's going to be very interesting to see. Yeah, I have been like keeping up with the comments here. It feels like Cedric is putting out like he's fighting the entire comment section. Is that what's going on here? I don't really know. But yeah, I'm just here talking Nuggets, folks. Okay. I think that's going to do it. That's going to do it for this episode of Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends here at Mile High Sports. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on the way out. Very curious to see what happens here and if the Nuggets are going to be surviving heading into the next round. You'll find out here. I will be podcasting on Sunday morning regardless. Should be interesting. Thank you so much, everybody. Hit that like button on the way out. I will talk to you guys very soon.